Water in the city, rushing to me. Down upstream, are you with me? Under rainbow, water in the city, rushing to me. Down upstream, are you with me? Feeling
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adrian Zdunczyk, CMT Charter Market Ignition. Welcome to today's AMA session with our incredible partners at AxonDAO. And I'm here joined today by two not only good-looking legends, not only good, well-bearded legends with beautiful, glorious, gorgeous beards and cool glasses on. I'm talking about the big brains of this industry, and I know it for a fact. And that's a rare thing to say because this industry can be very tricky. It can be filled with the wrongdoers, it can be filled with bad actors, and it's very difficult to find people who have the credentials, who have the knowledge, who have the an actual follow through behind their actions. And that happened to be with today's guest. That those are the people you want to listen to. Those are the people that bring the reliable knowledge to the decentralized finance and the decentralized science and the blockchain and the combination of all that with an actual science background. And it all comes with an embodiment and the presence of AxonDAO. Welcome to the discussion. Welcome to the show, Mac and Jay of AxonDAO. How are you feeling, gents, today?
Good.
Yeah, good. Thank you for having us. Such a privilege, such a pleasure.
Such a privilege to me it is as well. Every time I speak with Mac, it feels like I'm gaining IQ. So I love the discussions. The more the better. So for anybody new here, basically for all those new listeners, new viewers who are yet to find out what AxonDAO is, in one sentence, what is it actually going to be?
Decentralized operating system for health research that gives the individuals who are participating the ownership of their biodata while enabling really breakthrough discoveries through this collective intelligence.
Yeah.
Love it so much. Jay, what would you add to it?
Yeah, in essence, I mean, we're the decentralized science operating system. So basically, any researcher or anybody who wanted to start conducting some research in the space, scientific space, particularly around health data at this point, we'd be able to help them plug in and do all of their research in, with specific data sets, specific algorithms, all available at their fingertips. So basically, it's saying we're giving you all of the tools that you need to get a head start and to build out the research that you're wanting to carry out. So that's effectively what we're doing. And yeah, just to add on to what Mac's elaborate definition was. Yeah.
I mean, the operating system for research, right? I mean, it's a thing that, well, I may guess that I understand. I might be wrong, right? However, what does it mean in practice in the eyes of the recipients, in the eyes of the users? Like, what does it actually mean that it's an operating system for research? What can I do with it?
That's a great question for Mac to answer.
Thank you. Just consider that the process of collecting data and making computations on that data needs to be orchestrated, and it has specific, research lifestyle, the life cycle. From the perspective of normal user, he doesn't care about that. From the perspective of science, you have to obey certain rules, and that's what this system as a toolkit is doing for researcher. At the end, whether they are publishing the scientific documents, publications, or they are getting into a place where they can have SaaS product algorithm, something they can sell millions of times. You have, on the other hand, people who participate, and whatever happens inside, it's like a common cooperative process where users are throwing in the data connected with specific research. They are being rewarded by the tokens of the ecosystem. In this case, it's AXGT. And you have scientists who are at the end the main owners of created this way something that they can spin out as and monetize.
Okay. So, I mean, there are many words, right? What you've described, there are many words. I understand that. Um, if we were to introduce simplicity to that, right? Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I'm an engineer, so I guess for the record, for everybody who's watching and listening, I had a very interesting discussion back in the day with Mark, about the physics and the application of that, and the science application of that with through the blockchain, into an actual mainstream. He's a very smart guy, right? He's a proper scientist, and what I've always wanted to figure out is how science can be properly applied. Proper application of science means that it's actually going to reach out to the mainstream, to the average Joe, so to speak, right? And person, that person with who is not a on average, who's not a scientist, who's not a PhD in physics, right? They still have to get it. They still have to understand the power behind the concept. They still have to understand what sort of features, what functionality, what products, right? What
Yeah.
tangible results they can actually expect. So if we talk about AxonDAO in that simple layman terms, what specific problems that you've noticed in traditional research, AxonDAO is solving?
Jay, would you like or me?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple, and I think the first is data ownership. I think that's one of the most important things. It's owning the data that you've got and or that you're producing from a research perspective. So what Axon DAO is effectively doing is, one, we're speeding up the process for researchers. We're giving them a platform for them to come into, conduct their research, and own the data that they're creating. So ordinarily what happens is researchers, scientists, they produce data sets and algorithms, and these two things effectively are, data sets are basically the IP, algorithms are definitely the IP, right? So these are the things that power AI agents, all of these kinds of things. So effectively think about it from the perspective of what we're doing for scientists is we're expediting and speeding up the process of them being able to develop incredible innovation and do this on a platform that works specifically tailored to their needs. So that's effectively what we're doing. And the beauty behind it is the ownership of data and data sovereignty. So whether I'm a user, as somebody who wants to contribute, or whether I'm a scientist, I'm the owner of this data set. So if somebody was to say, I am 100% consenting to provide my data to you, you would therefore, from the research perspective, be the owner of this data. Now, whether that's ZKP'd, which is zero knowledge proofed, in other words, anonymized data. So what do I mean by this? I mean, Adrian, you want to provide your data. What you don't want is you don't want somebody knowing that it's Adrian's data. A lot of people don't. A lot of people want to be private. Perfectly okay. We are in this space and age right now where privacy is a very massive trend. As a marketer, as a CMO, I'm the CMO of AxonDAO. It's one of the most common things that I see in the space. The rise of ZK VMs, the rise of ZK, basically zero knowledge. Just for those who are listening who potentially don't know what zero knowledge is the ability for me to prove something without me having to show you all of my details. Great example. Does Jay have a license, a driver's license? I don't need to show you all of the details on my driver's license, but there's a way for me to prove that this is my driver's license. So the same thing can be applied to a user for their data. I've given you my data. You don't need to know my personal information, but I can consent to you using that data. For example, from a researcher's perspective, they can own the data that comes from their research, and simultaneously they can monetize that data by one, maybe potentially licensing it to other researchers so that they can expedite the process of doing research, finding innovation, creating benefit for humankind. So that's effectively the short and the long of it, if I'd summarized it in the clearest way possible.
Got you. And well, that was a really nicely zero knowledge proof, kind of like introduced. I think on behalf of a lot of newbies and on behalf of a lot of people who are just getting pretty much deeper in terms of understanding that, well, to frankly speaking, that I still consider myself to be a newbie when I speak with such legends that you are, guys. I mean, I'm sitting with the people with an actual literal microscope behind their back right now, right, in their labs, in the
It
scientific
is.
lab. So
It's not a typical microscope, by the way.
all the this is just to back up what I was saying, the actual proof and evidence of all that. So long story short, again, if we are to bring the product to the mainstream, we have to ensure that it's understood, that it's translated well. I think we've all seen the difficulty in translating the Web3 language into Web2, which is what you've nicely kind of like proposed right now for the solution, right? Though at the end of the day, people need tangible results, right? If we cannot show and give and hand in to someone the blockchain, they don't understand it, right? So for instance, what I often do when I speak with people, when I speak with the founders, like with big people, let's say from the traditional world, I ask them, have you seen the blockchain? Have you seen what it looks like? Right? Something extremely simple, like 100% of the time they say no. Right? So to them, it's just an imaginary concept that it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It doesn't have a body. And when they cannot locate it in one place, when they cannot focus their attention in one tangible aspect of presence, they're not going to understand it, right? So we see as the people, we see the difficult processes through the shortcuts, those mental shortcuts, right? It can be used observed in the human psychology, the way we get it, like that we try to, if we there is like a substitution effect in psychology, right? When someone asks us a very difficult question, we don't know how to answer, we simplify this and we give a simplified answer over a simplified question to an extent, right? So instead of, for instance, if I ask you like, okay, how many kilograms is going to weigh Tesla X on top of an Tesla Y when they accelerate and in space, right? For instance, because of the time relativity, time and mass relativity, and the energy and all this stuff, right? And I have no clue, right? So what my brain is automatically going to do is it's going to, okay, what is the simplified version of that? So what's the mass of Tesla Y and Tesla S maybe on top of this? And I give you the answer to that, right? So unless we really simplify and put it into tangible terms for people to understand, they're not going to get it. So the question to you, in the case study of AxonDAO, right? How do you actually embody that mission? How do you make it tangible? How do you show it to the people? How do you hand in the AxonDAO to the people in physical terms? Is it like a product? Is it like a feature? Do you have the actual? Well, I know what you have, right? But I want you to speak it out loud. So talk to me about the tangibility of AxonDAO.
Can I just quickly jump in here, Mac? Sorry, just one thing. I just want to add here. I want to add one thing. Adrian, great question. So I know Mac is absolutely buzzing to answer on what we've got.
I'm not surprised somehow.
Another thing is just, one thing that I failed to mention earlier is, from the retail, from the layman's perspective, right? You as an individual, you have health data. You are a living, breathing human being. You have data. That data is valuable, right? And so for us, what we do is we enable you as an individual to also be the sovereign owner, so the only owner of your health data, and simultaneously you can monetize this data. So you can get paid for providing your data to researchers for them to research and build scientific discovery. So that's just that's the only thing that I'll add in there from the user's perspective, from the everyday person's perspective. I think that's a really important thing to note. Is that, I'll give you a very practical example. A lot of the companies, and this is a great segue into where Mac is going, or what Mac will talk about. A lot of the companies who we see it every day, right? You've got an iPhone in your pocket, you got Apple Health, right? Now, I'm not specifically picking on iPhone. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that these kinds of companies, what they do is they mine that data and they sell that data, and they make money on top of this data, right? So this is effectively what happens. And so for us, we flipped that model completely on its head, and we want you as the individual, for your health data, to be given reward and to consent to providing us with that data so that it can be used for scientific discovery. How we do that is, Mac, you want to take it away?
Don't do that. It's always the same with Jared. He's making me in that kind of positions. How we do that? Let's imagine that after we started a research project called A plus Voice, where we said that we can analyze your voice and tell you if there is a risk of incoming Parkinson, Alzheimer, stress, depression, PTSD, different factors, even if you are progressing with your stress levels. It's all in your voice. That basically also it was the initial project that I put on the NVIDIA Inception program, and it was approved by NVIDIA in October 23. It means that we were with the community collecting the data as is the voice of those people, and we had very specific way how to collect it. Very simple also in the same time. Every time you were providing us your voice, but while you were participating in this research, we were paying those people, rewarding them with tokens, XGT tokens. At this point of time, we have 22 different algorithms. We call them agents. Practically, they are just Python pieces of code. I'm taking your voice, throwing through this Python application, and then I have some numbers on the other side. By understanding what does it mean, I can make a factual, thoughtful process around assessment. When I can assess your state, I can provide you the answer. If I know those elements that are invisible in your voice, and now you know them, I can translate them into a factful something that might help you. Having this now we are able, for example, support projects like HairDAO, as they know that, for example, stress is one of the main reasons why we lose hair. So if we already created some technology, also we rewarded participants, so it was a win-win for everyone. We have a scientist who is the main owner of those algorithms, and we can help him or rent those algorithms for another organization that will extend their own application and mobile application for people who are going through the process of understanding, for example, why they are losing hair. Another case, sleep DAO. How do you know if in the morning your dream, your sleep time was efficient or not? Of course, you can feel well, but if you could, for example, record your voice in the morning, and we can assess what is the markers that are showing us, and we have them. Are you really not tired, or was it a really efficient night in terms of sleep? You might think that it was, but your body is saying something else. So by 4 months period of research, now we have something that we can multiply and sell it to another projects. And on top of that, we have 4 different projects internally. 2 are SaaS applications for first responders, so like policemen, people who are working in hospitals, in this, IOMs, ER, and 2 different applications for business people working in corporations who also are challenged by stress. So some tokens, some effort, scientists, ideas, and then we are rolling out products that can be monetized as a products.
I got you. Okay. So speaking of the tangibility of the products, of the physicality of objects, that we can give the decentralized science the use case for. Uh, let's talk about the real world assets for a second, right? So what's the stance? What's the application? What's the context for AxonDAO to apply real world assets?
One of the first thing I can say is a Q ring. You have just a small device on your finger, then it will be a wristband, and this device is just collecting data on a daily basis continuously, which means that whatever your body will generate, and this device will pick up and collect it through the mobile application and put it into your data vault, you are not only owning that, but in the future you can see through the data and understand your physicality, but also we can utilize this data and rent it to someone else after giving consent. So from the factual data that you probably need to have to understand why you are this way or that way in terms of mental, physical state of your body. But this is a real world asset. If you can imagine that the biggest project in DeSci is having a 1.2 million data set of data points. They say it's the biggest data set on the market. With this, we are able to generate every 1,000 users who are using that can generate on a monthly basis around 35 million data points. And if they are collected consistently, like 10 hours a day, the value of that is just beyond any imagination. So in terms of having this and allowing other people to research based on that data, it's like a gold, it's like a mine where you are pulling the gold again and again. Even if you harvested before, you can harvest it again and again. This is confusing and kind of impossible, but it is what it is. So with that, for example, we can share some recorded data with this device, let's say to SideDAO, to SleepDAO, to Cerberus DAO, after user will give that consent, and we can pull out the value from the data again and again and create more products in the same time.
I love it.
So, yeah,
I
a
love it.
great
Please,
thing.
Jay.
Great thing to add there, Adrian, is basically imagine being able to get a full understanding of your body at any one time. Right? We think we know. Right? I personally, I think I know. I think I know. Like last night, I slept like 6 hours. Maybe I'm just used to it, right? Maybe I'm used to sleeping 6 hours and I feel like it's okay, but is it really good for me? Do I have the clear insights that are needed? And so what the curing allows us to do is it allows us to monitor on a consistent basis our health, right? And the things that really matter, like heart rate, these kinds of things, really, really important things. And so the application of this kind of thing and why it's so important, particularly from the DeSci perspective is, from AxonDAO, as I mentioned, our entire perspective of things is to work collaboratively. That's the reason we're in the decentralized world, is because we want to get away from these high walls that corporations specifically build around. No negativity towards corporations. That's their business model, completely and utterly respected. From our perspective, what we want to do is have low barriers to entry, and we want to collaborate with people. So imagine if somebody's working on understanding microbiome, so in other words, your gut health, for example, what you eat, how this looks, maybe if you're in a specific location, there's an effect here on your body and on your gut health and on your overall health. I think it might be quite interesting to see that people in a specific area, their gut health and what their health biomarkers are on a day-to-day basis, how those two things marry. What does that look like? And so what this enables us to do is it enables us to get a much clearer picture of not only ourselves, but entire groups of people from all different spaces around the world. And so really, from a deepened perspective, the effective thing to think of here is that this is, I almost want to say, like a node for yourself, because you're providing consistent data on an ongoing basis to a network that you can monetize. It's the best description of how we take this beautiful ring and we enable you as the individual to understand yourself, to own the data, and simultaneously to then potentially earn from it. So yeah, that's the TLDR there.
It's
definitely.
It's not if. No, I'm not trying to be factual, and I can show you something else. Probably some of us knows that. It's a stetomy. It's a stethoscope, digital stethoscope. You just put it on your heart, and if you have a mobile application, you can collect the data from this. And this is a medical product. There is like a plenty of them, and we will connect those devices too. We have a short list of 10 different wearables that we will connect to the whole ecosystem. So the computations and analysis we can do can be way more interesting. But it just, the world needs something that will allow you fast and very simply, understand what's happening with you. And we are making the same mistakes. The history repeats itself. But in this case, we already broke the paradigm, I think. And I'm not even saying what's going to happen next year. I'm afraid that we are kind of going too fast even this year in terms of the results and things that we are rolling out, because I was not expecting that our core system, AxonDAO XYZ, will be taken kind of like hijacked by the community of researchers. I don't want to be too braggy about it. Maybe this is a Polish mentality, but the truth is that if two quite very important research projects that are standalone businesses, we don't have anything with them, they want to utilize AxonDAO XYZ, our devices that we are using, our algorithms. For us, it's not a discussion if. We go that we are there where we were meant to be next year now.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So AxonDAO has become basically a white label for all of those, right? It's such an incredible achievement, a point of reference, a benchmark, so to speak, right? However, knowing of your time limits and knowing that we're running out of time a little bit, I want to take it to and extend it over what you mentioned, Mac. Speaking of the future, right? Because not even next year, this year, time flies very fast. How about if AxonDAO scales as properly intended? Where are we gonna be in 5 to 10 years?
Well, in next maximum 6 years, we will not only disrupt market. I'm looking at our roadmap, which is very hard, precisely thought over, but we will absolutely go for at least 3 specific niche research areas, and we will be there. This is an old roadmap. It's just the thing is that we will have next year a protocol for decentralized clinical trials, but it's medical grade protocols. It means that any type of clinical trial can utilize our platform. Theoretically, technically, we will be ready this year, but you cannot do too much in the same time. We will, for sure, in next 3 years, achieve mainstream user adoption in key demographics and regions. So it means that at least in specific regions, we will have at least 1 million active users, utilizing everything that we've built. Now, we have now 74 different algorithms, and we will have probably close to 400 this year. It's not it's not overstatement. I think that we will also become in this time a standard for body in ethical AI and decentralized health. It's a must. And some of us and some of the players in the industry, you have to make somehow money. People are trying to say, okay, but I will not sell your data, but maybe if it's going to be anonymized and I will make some computations, I can sell this. We have this stance that no, just no. I was working in the biggest companies that are making the clinical analysis, market analysis, like IQVIA, IMS Health. I know what are the products they are generating and what market looks for. And we can deliver the same things at some certain level of growth. And you don't have to break that privacy of private records. So I guess that also the things that we already did, which are health GVT factors, I can tell you that in next 4 years, you will see for sure measurable improvement in key global health metrics in the communities that are utilizing our research, our products. It's a strong statement, but every good practice around your health, if you will modify your sleep, how you sleep, in a way that your body get a chance to be fresh in the morning, it can give you 5 to 10 years extra life. And it's not my statement. You can find it in med books which are used at the universities where we teach doctors. So just those things, at least.
I've got you. And Jay, do we have anything else to add from your perspective before we run the show over?
Well, I mean, we recently partnered with Tristan Thompson, who is an ex-Cleveland Cavalier player.
Shout out to Tristan. Is a good guy, very good guy.
Yeah. Really cool guy, and he's very passionate about what we're doing. And I think what you'll also see is a lot of mainstream adoption from particularly athletes and people who are on the, I want to say, like the frontier of physical development. I think for them it's really important for them to understand what their body is saying 24/7. Athletes, fighters, whatever it is that looks like, But yeah, we'll start to see more of the, and I'm so grateful for the fact that we're leading in the field in terms of pioneering these relationships, because for me, it's really good to see that we are factually moving crypto, blockchain, particularly decentralized science, into more mainstream, everyday, what's the word that I could use here? Amplified, categories, let's say, or amplified areas. So particularly focusing on sports players and athletes. So that's something that I would just say watch out for, because we're gonna do some really cool stuff in that area as well.
Love it so much. Mac?
One thing to add, just one thing. There was a plan that next year, next half of the 2026, we will be integrated in at least two different external health or wellness ecosystems as utility payment token. That AXGT will be like in at least two external projects. Currently, we are working on making that stuff with one project now. I don't know if it's going to be after this summer. I don't want to speed up. Summertime is also, people gotta go for some kind of break. But it looks like the AXGT will be accessible in the third-party platform at least this year, before time. So
Before time. I like that. So
yeah.
as they often say to me, the future is all here. The future is here, old man. That's what they often say. And the future is now. The future is here. Speaking of which, AxonDAO, make sure, guys, that you follow our incredible partners at AxonDAO. Exactly this at AxonDAO. They're getting close to 100,000 people, which is quite an amount of an intelligence gathered in one place that can gain an extra level of IQ. Just like I said, I feel like I've gotten just a couple of additional IQ points just from listening to Mac and Jay over today's session. And and I truly thank you for that, because you guys are incredible people, very very smart people, very beautiful mission that you're on with the decentralized science and enabling the accessibility of the science, again, just giving the ownership of the data, the real ownership, and utilizing that to actually push the discovery, the scientific discovery process. I think that's a good mission that you're on, and just keep on doing great things that you're doing. Thank you so much for coming over to the show. Mac and Jay have been our guests today, and I've been your host, Adrian Dunchik, CMT Charter Market Ignition, and I see you guys on the next one. God bless you around. Bye bye.